Why play video games on just one screen when you could have dual screens? Here's 5 reasons. Hi there, I'm Roger Retro Gaming Puppet, and this is 5 reasons. Man, it's been a minute since we've done one of these, ain't it? But leave it to a generous extra life donor to get the show back on track. And at that donor's request, on this episode we're looking at 5 Nintendo DS games that never left their original platform. The Nintendo DS was released for $150 in North America on November 21st, 2004, almost 15 years ago. It hit Japan on December 2nd and PAL territories in early 2005. Its defining features were both the dual screens, reminiscent of Nintendo's Game & Watch handhelds of the early 80s, and the fact that the bottom screen was a touchscreen. This wasn't the first system with a touchscreen. Tiger's Gamecom, released in 1997, had one, but it was still seen as both a bit of a gamble and a cool novelty at the time. Still, it all seemed a little weird because the Game Boy Advance had just come out in 2001. Nintendo's official party line was that the DS wasn't a replacement for the GBA, just a parallel line of hardware. This was clearly bunk from the beginning, since they put a GBA slot right in the darn thing and talked about how it was backwards compatible, which pretty well signaled that the GBA was the past and the DS was the future. But I get it. They were hedging their bets. If the DS hadn't gained any momentum, they could have just released the Game Boy Even More Advance and acted like, wow, that thing with the 2 screens was a weird little experiment, eh? As I'm sure you know, that was not the case. The Nintendo DS sold over 154 million units worldwide, becoming the best-selling portable system of all time, surpassing Nintendo's own Game Boy, as well as the second best-selling game system of all time, full stop, coming in about 1 million units shy of the PS2. Most of these were the Nintendo DS Lite, the first hardware revision the system got, but it would get several revisions, including the DSi, which removed GBA support but added an online shop for downloadable games. The DS alongside the Wii brought on Nintendo's most successful era to date. And they also ushered in a new era of casual game players with titles like Nintendogs and Brain Training, and while those games are cool and we think expanding the gaming audience is great, those are not the kind of games we're talking about here. Also, if you didn't know, all these games will play on your Nintendo 3DS, so hey, let's get to it. Here's 5 reasons to own a Nintendo DS. Developers had this bad habit of trying to come up with subtitles that had the initials DS, which I suppose is better than putting Super before the title or 64 after it, but it still led to stuff like this. A title that makes the game sound like a prequel to 2003's Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. But that isn't important. What is important is that this isn't just the best of the 3 Castlevanias on the DS, but is considered by fans to be one of the best in the series, period. Soma Cruz explores the cursed castle once again, collecting the souls of monsters to craft his attacks and weapons, looking to stop a cult that seeks to resurrect Dracula. As a bonus, it has an unlockable mode where you play as Julius Belmont that acts as tribute to the classic Castlevania 3, with Sypha Belnade's descendant, Yoko Belnades playable, as well as Alucard. If you have a DS and haven't played this one, it is a must-play. This one's a little pricey for a DS game at about $20 for a bare cart, but for fans of the series, it is money well spent. Treasure are among the best when it comes to 2D action games, and this one is no exception. While you play as a giant robot, your sprite is small to allow for a maximum view of hazards and enemies. Combined with an almost puzzle game playstyle and a wide arsenal, you've got an excellent and unique game for the platform. Treasure are notoriously down on doing sequels, but this one turned out better than the GBA follow-ups to both Gunstar and Guardian Heroes. It can routinely be found for about $15, and it is worth it. With us, it's never a surprise to see a Kunio game. And, well, yeah, this is a worthy follow-up to Super Dodgeball. It's maybe not as good as the NES or Neo Geo versions, but it's still a blast, with new mechanics and a ton of different super throws. This one was a bright spot when new Kunio games were much rarer than they are now. With classic Kunio gameplay and a price tag under $10, this one is worth your time and money. This one is honestly worthy of an episode of Obscure Old Games all to itself, but suffice it to say that anyone who watches our shows will want to check out this compilation of fake classic games, spanning a basic Galaga-style shooter all the way up to a Ninja Gaiden-style platformer, and even a several-hour 8-bit style RPG. Including mechanics like reading fake gaming magazines for hints, this one really captures the feel of gaming in the 80s. It was based on a Japanese TV show, and sadly didn't do that well here, so the 2 sequels never got official localizations. Still, if you've played and enjoyed the first game, the fan translation of the second one is one to check out. But unfortunately on the first game front, well, the low print run and now cult status have led to a slightly inflated price tag. Expect to pay between $25 and $35 for just the cartridge. But, and I do realize I'm starting to sound like a broken record, if the theming and styling appeal to you, it is worth it. We saved the best for last. Tom Hewlett gets trashed by dweeby Silent Hill fanboys for things that aren't his doing. But even if he did everything they say he did, I wouldn't care. Because Tom Hewlett brought Contra back to its full glory in 2007. As a producer at Konami, he and Simon Lai teamed with Way Forward Technologies to bring one of our favorite game series back from the brink. And Contra 4 is, like Dawn of Sorrow, a must-own for the DS and one of the best games in its respective series, without question. If you got a taste for classic action games and a Nintendo DS and you somehow don't own this game, run, don't walk to get yourself a copy. And at $15, it's a bargain. And that does it. Thanks for watching. I'm Roger the Retro Gaming Puppet. I'll see you next time, right here on 5 Reasons. Hey everyone, it's Joe. Thanks for watching Roger run down 5 fantastic DS games that never hit other platforms. If you dug it, do all that stuff everyone asks you to do. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, share, whatever. If you really dug it, consider supporting the shows on Patreon. For just $1 per episode, get early access, a monthly patron-only stream, sometimes get to vote on what I'm doing, and more. If you want more Roger, the video on the left is the first episode of 5 Reasons about the Game Boy Advance, and the video on the right is the most recent installment of Obscure Old Games on 3 Count Bout.